Welcome to OHKLYN. In this WordPress tutorial for beginners, we'll show you how to make a WordPress website for 2019 and 2020 step by step. We'll cover the fundamentals of what you'll need to get your website up and running and provide an introduction to the WordPress Content Management System, or CMS, to get you familiar with creating and managing the content and design of your website. We'll show you how to set up your hosting account and give you access to discount hosting and a free domain. We'll use a premium WordPress theme that gives you access to over 100 free entire website layouts, including everything from a creative or freelance website to a business or consulting website, restaurant, cafe, or bar website, handyman, gardener, or trade website, travel, photography, or design website, or a wedding or wedding planner website. Just to name a few. The website we'll create will also be SEO friendly, feature an optimized UX design, be 100% mobile responsive, and will include an intuitive, beginner-friendly drag and drop page builder. In this tutorial, we'll show you how to create the exact website you want. So, if you're ready to learn the fundamentals of WordPress, then let's get to it. To make this tutorial easy to follow, we've created a step-by-step guide on the OHKLYN website that you can use to follow along with. We'll add a link in the description below, as well as in the info card for this video. In this post, you'll find the written instructions as well as any links mentioned in this video. We would recommend opening the post in a new tab and following along. In this WordPress tutorial, we'll use the Divi WordPress theme by OHKLYN Themes. You can access a discount by following the link in the description below, or if you're following along on the OHKLYN website, you can click this button here. Divi is one of the best WordPress themes available, as it has a beginner-friendly drag-and-drop builder, a massive community of users, and one of the most extensive video libraries that covers how to customize every inch of your website. In the description below, and on the OHKLYN post here, you'll find a link to a page with all the free Divi layouts, which you'll have access to for this tutorial. If you don't have an active OHKLYN theme subscription, you can still follow the links to download these layout packs and upload them to your site. That being said, we would recommend you upgrade to the latest subscription or get the lifetime option like we've got, so you get access to all the latest features, updates, and designs. We'll show you how to create your WordPress website using Bluehost as your hosting provider. With the link in the description below and on the OHKLYN post here, you'll get access to discount hosting plus a free domain name if you haven't purchased one already. Okay. So before we get going, let's begin with the end in mind and go through what you'll need to prepare, as well as give some thought to the structure and the outcome you want to achieve. Let's start with a few things you'll need to make the process of creating your site a lot smoother. These are a must-have for any blog or website. They will be used throughout your entire site, on every page, and will help your whole website look coherent. A logo. Make sure that you have all the variations you need, like a horizontal and a vertical version, dark and light version, as well as different sizes so that it fits perfectly wherever you use it. A favicon. This is the logo your website will display in the browser tab. It's usually square, but you can create the illusion of an irregular shape by using an image with a transparent background, like a PNG. A brand color palette. A coherent design always starts with a brand color palette. This usually consists of a main color, as well as a few complementary colors. Tools like Paletten.com, Adobe Color, or ColorHex.com can help you pick a color palette. On top of these things, you'll also need a small budget of between $100 to $150. This will fund the cost of your domain, hosting, premium WordPress theme, images, if required, and if you want to hire a designer to create some of your branding assets, it may be up to $300. We have created an article that details the expenses you will face as you build your website or blog in this article on the OHKLYN blog. Another thing that will make the whole process a lot easier is to draw out a sitemap that conceptualizes what your site will look like. As an example, I created this slide with a sitemap of what my website will look like. As you can see, here are the pages that will be on my site: Home, About, Services, Contact, and a blog page. These will all appear in my main navigation menu. I've also listed the categories for my blog, which will be Who Am I, Branding, Corporate Identity, and News. If you've got the time and you've got a good idea already, you can also create subcategories or headings for articles within your categories. So I've also got my footer navigation, where I'll again link to the contact page, as well as the privacy or terms of use or terms and conditions page. The next step would be to come up with more detail about what will be on these pages. Let's look at how you could do that using one of my favorite tools, Sketch.io, which you can find a link for in the description for this video. In the interest of time, I've already drawn out 1 or 2 pages, but you'd go about it like this. So we've got a home and about page already. We'll then draw a blog page. Blog. And then you just in a very basic way, draw out how that page would look. So let's say our blog will be a staggered list with an image and an excerpt. It would look something like this. And of course, on every page we'd have our navigation menu at the top, and so on. So this will give you a good idea of what content is on which of your pages. And you can go on and draw a services page, contact page, every page that you add in your sitemap. Then the next step would be, we'll just make this longer so that it reflects a long page that you can scroll down through, is to go into a lot of detail on every page. So if we do our home page, then we have an example of what our end product would look like. But just to show you, so if you want a header image at the top with your main heading, a subheading, and 2 buttons, then you just draw that in. So we'll start with our navigation menu. Here you can write your actual navigation links like home. And you can go on with the about, contact, blog, all the links you'd have in your navigation menu. Then we have a header image at the top. Say our name and profession, so something like that. Set the alignment. You can put in your slogan. We'll just add the buttons for now. And there's really no wrong or right way to do this. You can do it on paper. You can do it using a sketching tool like this. And you can also come back and change it if it doesn't work. And this would be something like a call to action button. And maybe a button to view services. And you'd go on creating your website like this. If you look at the next section, it's a services section with the square blurbs and a heading at the top, as well as a learn more button. So we go back and then again add a heading by services. And some text below this. And then the actual blurbs. So these blurbs would have an icon at the top, some kind of picture, and then let's say center align that. So you'd go on like this, and you can go into as much detail as you want. It really depends on how well you want to plan it at the beginning. And you can go on and create your entire page like this. We highly advise that you do this because it just makes actually building your site a lot smoother, and you don't have to think about this as you're working with WordPress. The most important things to keep asking yourself is, does the flow of information on your pages make sense? And does it take the user through a process or tell a story? Okay, so that should do it for preparation and planning. Now it's time to get to work on our WordPress website. If you haven't already, the first step is to register your domain, set up your website hosting account, and install WordPress for your website. For this tutorial, we'll show you how to set up your hosting via Bluehost, as we believe it's the best option for beginners. Remember to use the link on the OHKLYN post here to access the discount for Bluehost. As you can see, they offer free domain registration, SSL certificates, and one-click WordPress installation. To get started, just click the green Get Started button. As you can see, Bluehost has 3 pricing packages: Basic, Plus, and Choice Plus. The biggest difference is that with the Basic plan, you'll only be able to host one website, and you'll be limited in terms of storage space, whereas the Plus and Choice Plus plans are unmetered. So, if you want to host more than one website on one account, you'll have to get one of the Plus or Choice Plus plans, like we do. However, you'll have the 30-day money-back guarantee regardless of which plan you pick. If you want to get your free domain, you can enter it into the new domain field here. Or if you already have a domain, you'll enter it in the I have a domain field. Bluehost supports a number of domain extensions, which you can see in this drop-down over here. If you want the domain extension that isn't in this list, you'll have to buy it from another registrar, and then put it in the I have a domain name field. You'll then need to do what's called pointing your name servers to Bluehost. Fortunately, we've written an article on how to do this that you can find on the OHKLYN blog. For this tutorial, we'll register a new domain. So we'll type it into the field here, and then choose the domain extension we want, in this case .com. If the domain is available, it'll tell you so on the next page. If it's not, it'll take you back to choose another domain. Next up, you'll just need to provide some basic information to register your account with Bluehost, like your first name, last name, business name, if you are registering on behalf of a business, country, address, phone number, email address, etc. You'll then need to make sure that you have the right package. Bluehost automatically selects the 36-month package. So if you only want a year, make sure that you change it. You'll also see that they again confirm your domain and your SSL certificate is free. In the package extras field, there are some upsells that you may or may not need depending on your circumstances. We recommend paying extra for domain privacy protection, so your personal details won't be published with your domain online. But we'll untick site lock and code guard. Then you'll see the total price at the bottom. Next, you'll need to provide your credit card details in order to pay for your hosting. The last thing to do is to agree to the terms and conditions, and then you're ready to go. You'll be taken through to this page welcoming you to Bluehost with a set password button. In the meantime, you'll also be sent a WHOIS verification email that you'll use to verify your email. Let's go check that in our inbox first. Here you can see the WHOIS verification email for the domain of your hosting. And you just need to click on the green verify your email button. Give it a moment to load. And as you'll see, you'll be verified. If we then go to the other email that welcomes you to Bluehost with a get started button, this will take you through to the login page. However, we don't have a password yet, so we'll need to go set that on the page that we were taken to earlier. So just go back to that tab and click the set password button. Just enter any password that you want. Try to keep it secure. As you can see, they provide some guidelines for that. Or you can let Bluehost suggest a secure password for you. Just make sure that you copy this and paste it somewhere. Agree to the terms and then click next. And you've created your password and can now log into Bluehost. So if you click the button, just let it load a bit. This may take some time because they're going to suggest some themes for us. So yeah, we're already logged into our Bluehost account. And here they suggest some themes that you can pick to start your website with. You don't have to pick one now. And we won't pick one for this tutorial because we'll set this all up later. So we'll just click skip this step. And that's pretty much all the setup you need to do. You might see this notification that your WordPress website won't be hosted on the domain you bought just yet, but they'll automatically update it to your domain when it's ready. So you can go immediately to your WordPress site by clicking Start Building, or first go to your Bluehost account. We'll just open it in a new tab for now, so that we can easily navigate back to the Bluehost account later. This is your WordPress dashboard hosted on Bluehost, and there will be a welcome message from Bluehost as well as a setup wizard. We won't be using this as we'll be setting up our website ourselves. So we'll just click I don't need help, which will take us through to our Bluehost dashboard for WordPress. As you can see, here are some tools that Bluehost provides for free with your WordPress hosting. There's a coming soon widget, some quick access to your blog posts and pages, the app marketplace, some performance settings, and staging settings. Staging is important because it allows you to make a copy of your site that's offline that you can work on. This means that you can leave your live site up without affecting users when you make changes or updates to your site. So you'll come here to do that when it's time. Back on the home page, you'll see the left-hand navigation menu. And if you go to dashboard, this is your actual WordPress dashboard. So there's a bunch of stuff here, mostly related to the extra plugins that Bluehost installs on your behalf. And you'll see this orange coming soon active bar at the top toolbar, which shows users a coming soon page when they go to your website since it's not set up yet. We can also remove some of this clutter from our dashboard by going to the top right hand corner of any of these panels and then clicking the X to remove it. We'll keep the Welcome to WordPress panel as it has some handy links that you'll probably use later on. In the left hand menu, we'll next go to Plugins and then Installed Plugins. So Bluehost installs some plugins on your behalf. And while you can keep them if you feel you'll need them, if you don't, it's best practice to remove them or at least deactivate them, as they can only lead to outdated plugins or security vulnerabilities if you just leave them there but don't use them. They may also impact the performance of your site as they add some unneeded complexity. So we'll just multi-select the WP Forms, Opt-in Monster and Jetpack plugins, as well as the Google Analytics plugin. Then from the Bulk Actions drop-down, you can just select Deactivate and click Apply. Okay, so with our necessary plugins deactivated, let's go back to the dashboard. You'll see that Bluehost's Coming Soon page is still active. Once you've finished your site and you're ready to send it live for visitors, just go to the Bluehost panel and then click the Launch Your Site button under Coming Soon Active to disable the Coming Soon page. If you want to activate the Coming Soon page again, just go to Caching and Cache Settings and enable it again under Bluehost Coming Soon page. When you're ready for your visitors to see your site again, just go back to the Bluehost panel and then click Launch Your Site once again. Okay, so that's it for WordPress for now. Let's take a look at our Bluehost account. So this is your main dashboard area. You can see your WordPress site here with the URL and the login button. This is your My Sites panel where you can manage your sites individually. Clicking on Manage Site will open up the settings for that specific WordPress website. And you'll see settings like users, performance, security, backups, etc. Under Security is where you'll find your free SSL certificate. Yours might still be unavailable, and this is most likely because Bluehost is still setting up your domain. But this is where you'd come to switch it on once your domain is ready. On the OHKLYN blog, we've written an article that explains the importance of a SSL certificate for your website, and we provide step-by-step instructions on how to activate your free Bluehost SSL certificate for your WordPress website. Going back to our WordPress site, we'll know our SSL certificate isn't available yet because the domain for our site will load without the HTTPS extension. On the Coming Soon page, you can also click the Admin Login button to log into the backend of your WordPress website. And this is the standard WordPress login page. You can also access this login page or your WordPress website by navigating to your domain name, followed by /wp-admin. From a security standpoint, it's not a good idea to keep using the default admin account that Bluehost provides. So the first thing we'll do is create another admin account that you can use to manage your WordPress website. To do this, we'll go back to our dashboard, and then in the admin menu on the left, we'll go to Users, and you can immediately click Add New, or go to the All Users page and then click the button. You'll need to provide a username and email. I'll just use my name and my email address. You'll use this email address to reset your password, and WordPress will send notifications to this email, so make sure it's one you have access to. You don't need to provide details for the rest, and WordPress will generate a secure password for you, so make sure you copy this and keep it somewhere safe. Also, make sure to change your role to administrator so that you have all the rights and privileges that you need. Then click Add New User. We also recommend deleting the old admin user. But to do this, you'll first need to log out. So hover over the admin in the top right hand corner and click on Logout. Then we'll log in using our new details. So your email and the password. You can also select Remember Me to have yourself automatically logged in. Then we'll go back to Users and delete the admin user. Just confirm it on the next page, delete all content. It might take a while, so just let it load. And you have a new secure admin account to manage your WordPress website. You'll also notice the name of the account that you're logged in with show in the top right hand corner over here. So here you can see Howdy Hendrik. Okay, so now that we've done our preparation and planning, as well as registered for our domain, hosting, and installed WordPress, it's time to learn about the fundamentals of WordPress before we start building our site. Now that we have an admin account, and before we go on, it's a good idea to cover some of the WordPress fundamentals. So we'll head back to the dashboard. The WordPress dashboard or admin panel is broken down into three main sections. At the top we have the WordPress toolbar, the admin menu is located on the left hand side, and the main admin area is in the middle. We'll give you a brief overview of each section now. However, for a more detailed overview, watch our free How to Use WordPress tutorial, which is an introduction to WordPress for beginners. This is intended to get you up to speed on the fundamentals of WordPress in about an hour. Alright, so the WordPress toolbar at the top is dynamic and adjusts the available options depending on which page you're on. For example, if you're in the back end and you hover over the site name, you'll be able to visit your site from the front end. And if you're in the front end and you hover over your site name, you'll be able to go back to the back end. The admin menu is also divided into three sections. At the top you have the dashboard section that provides easy access to the dashboard, some plugins, as you can see Bluehost here, and updates. Under that it's the content management section, where you can create and manage posts, pages, media items, and comments. The site administration section has mostly to do with the appearance and settings for your site. Under appearance, you can change the theme of your site or access the customizer. Here, you can manage plugins, users, which we've covered, and general settings, some which we'll cover in a bit. Some plugins and themes will also add extra entries to the menu, which you'll see later when we add the Divi plugin. The main dashboard areas where you will be doing most of your work and will look different depending on which page you're on. The screen options drop-down is also on most pages, and if you expand it, you'll see that it gives you extra options and features you can add to the page. Similarly, the Help tab to the right shows you helpful hints for the page that you're currently on, as well as links to relevant documentation. Both of these are also contextual and depend on the page you're working on. There are a few settings I want to show you. Firstly, let's go to Settings and General. If you change the site name here, you'll see it update in the toolbar. You can also change the tagline, update the date and time settings, and more. Again, if you want to learn more about these and other settings, you should check out our How to Use WordPress tutorial. The other important change I want to make is to the permalink structure. The permalink structure determines how the URLs for your posts and pages will look. Sometimes it's set to month and date by default, but it makes much more sense to change this to post name. This will look better to your visitors, and it's better for SEO optimization. It's also best to do this before you create any content, so that your URLs are correct from the beginning. Remember to always save any changes you make to these settings. While you're working on your site, I'll also recommend to go to Reading and check this box that says discourage search engines from indexing your site. This also stops search engines from using your site in search results while you're working on it. Once you're ready to launch your site, you can come back and uncheck this. Save changes. Okay, so let's take a quick first look at our WordPress website. As you can see, not much is going on yet. This is what all new WordPress sites look like. And in the coming sections, I'll show you how to turn it into an attractive site with content and a great looking design. We've covered preparation and planning, registering for hosting, as well as WordPress fundamentals. So now it's time to upload and install our WordPress theme. A WordPress theme is basically a group of files that change the look and feel of your WordPress site with a professionally made design. You can find out more about what a theme is in the What is a WordPress Theme article on the OHKLYN blog. There are free and premium themes, and premium themes usually have better design quality, extra features, more extensive documentation, and professional support. They usually cost between $50 to $100. On the OHKLYN blog, we've analyzed hundreds if not thousands of WordPress themes based on speed, design, ease of use, mobile responsiveness, and functionality, which you can access via the WordPress theme reviews category of the OHKLYN blog. We'll use Divi for this tutorial, which is one of the best premium themes out there and regularly features in a top spot in our reviews. You can access a discount for the Divi theme by following the link in the description below or on the guide on the OHKLYN blog here. You can either purchase a yearly access to all their themes and plugins, or select their lifetime option, which gives you access to all their themes and plugins for life. We have their lifetime access, however, choose what's right for you. You can always upgrade later on. Once you have chosen your access level, sign up, enter your personal information, select your payment method, review the terms, and complete registration. So first of all, you'll need to download the Divi theme. Just log into your Divi members area and download the theme from here as a .zip file. So uploading WordPress themes and installing them is also very easy. From the dashboard, you'll just go to Appearance and Themes. Here is where you manage all the WordPress themes added to your site. You can go customize them in the customizer, activate inactive themes, view details about the theme, and delete them over here. You can also add new themes to your site. If you go to the Premium Themes button here, you can purchase themes from the Bluehost theme market. But to upload your own theme, you'll click Upload here, which will also open the WordPress theme repository. These are thousands of free WordPress themes, and you can look for one by filtering the results here or using the search feature. So we'll click on Upload Theme to upload the Divi theme. Choose File. Find the divi.zip file wherever you downloaded it to. Open it and install now. This uploads the entire Divi theme to your WordPress website and installs it, so it can take quite a while. Just wait for it a while. Okay, once this page opens up, the theme will have uploaded successfully and been installed, and you can immediately activate it your site by clicking the Activate link here, or go back and do it on the themes page. Okay, let's immediately take a look at our site. And except for the Divi logo here at the top, there's still not much going on. But we'll fix that in the next few sections. So we'll just go back to the dashboard. Okay, so let's look at what we've done so far. Preparation and planning, registering for a domain, setting up your hosting and installing WordPress, WordPress fundamentals, and uploading and installing a WordPress theme. Now it's time for the fun stuff, customizing your WordPress website. So that you can build out your website and customize it to look the way you want, we'll cover how to upload your logo, favicon, and brand color palette, how to create pages, posts, and categories, how to create and manage menus, how to update your WordPress theme settings, including widgets, how to update your WordPress theme customizer settings, and how to use the Divi Builder. The best place to start when customizing your website is to add your branding elements. Your logo and brand colors will probably be used on every page of your website, and having a favicon in your browser tab will make your site look more professional. They will also identify your site to visitors, so that they know they are at the right place. So after the last Divi update, you no longer change your logo and your favicon at the same place. So we'll need to go to the Divi theme options to change our logo and to the theme customizer to change our favicon. The good news is that this isn't too difficult and that you'll get a quick look at both of these tools before we dig into them deeper later on. So to change our logo, we'll go to Divi and then theme options. There are a lot of options here that mostly change how Divi looks and how it functions throughout your website, but we'll look at them later on. The only thing we're interested in now is the logo and the color picker's default palette. So to upload a logo is very easy. Just go upload. If you have images in your media library, you can just choose them from here. Else you can go to upload files, select files, and choose one from your computer. So let's say we use this alternate version just as an example, but we'll select this one. And you can set an alt text for it, which will be used by search engines so that they know what the image is about, and will be used as a placeholder in case the image doesn't load. So as you can see, ours is dark triangle logo. Then if you're happy, just click set as logo. Then the default color palette is a set of colors that you can quickly select when customizing your site. You'll see it later on. But I'm pretty sure we won't use green, so we'll select that and then change it to our brand colors hexadecimal color code, which is 0DD and you'll see the color change here. To keep the changes you make here, you'll need to click the green Save Changes button. And you'll see the green check mark when it's done. To change the favicon, we'll need to go to the theme customizer. So we can either select it here under Divi or go to appearance and then customize. I'll just click this one. Okay, so this is the theme customizer. Oh, you can already see our logo here. This is the theme customizer where you'll mostly be able to make changes to the styling settings of your theme throughout your website. So to change our favicon, we'll need to go to General Settings and Site Identity. And then this site icon is actually the favicon. So it's a bit cryptic, but you can just change it here by clicking Select Image. Then this time we'll just choose it from our media library. And our alt text will keep as dark favicon. Click select. You can crop it, but we'll just keep cropping. And then any changes you make in the theme customizer, you'll need to hit publish in order to commit them. So click publish. And then you can close the theme customizer over here. And you should already see your favicon. So if we visit our site, you'll see our logo up here. Unfortunately, our brand colors aren't used anywhere yet, so you won't get to see them just yet. But if you look at the browser tab, you should see your favicon, and your logo is here in your main navigation menu. Okay, so the first thing you'll probably want to do when building out your site is to create some pages. So we'll head back to the dashboard. And then to create or manage your pages, you'll go to the pages in the left-hand menu. You can either add a page from here or go to all pages first, where you might see that WordPress has created some default pages for you. These are usually sample page and privacy policy page. We'll go ahead and delete this. So to show you how, you could either trash them here under the quick edit settings, or you can multi-select them. From the bulk actions dropdown, select move to trash and apply. And then to make sure they're gone, you can go to trash, bulk select them again, and delete permanently. Okay, so let's take a look at our sitemap so that we make sure we create the pages that we planned on. Okay, so once again, your sitemap may look totally different, but I want 6 pages in total, which are my home page, about page, services page, contact page, blog page, and a privacy page. So I'll go back to my pages panel, and then I'll click the add new button here to create a new page. The first page I'll create will be my home page, so you'll add your title here. Okay, so you can straight away use the Divi Builder, but I just quickly want to show you what the default page editor looks like. So we'll click Use Default Editor. If you've used WordPress before and this looks completely different, then don't worry, it's just the latest Gutenberg update that modernized the interface a bit. The biggest change is that pages now work by adding what's called content blocks. So you'll add a block which is either a piece of text, which you can just start typing, or you can add content blocks that are images, headers, quotes, lists, galleries, etc. and it build out your page like that. On the right hand side, you'll have a bunch of page options and settings. If you don't want to publish your page live so that visitors can see it, but you want to keep working on it, then you'll save it as a draft here. If you are ready for visitors to see your page, then you'd publish it and it'll go live on your website. And you can preview pages here. As you can see, not much going on yet. Then there are a lot of other important settings here, but we recommend that you watch our WordPress for Beginners tutorial if you want a more in-depth explanation of them. The only ones I want to show you here are the Divi specific settings. So under Divi page settings, we'll keep the right sidebar as this is the standard when it comes to websites. And we'll keep hide nav scroll to default so that it follows our global theme settings. So to use the Divi Builder, we can just click this button here. The Divi Builder has also undergone some major changes to keep pace with the WordPress changes. But for now, I just want to show you how you can use the Divi layouts to give your pages a design and some default content to get started with. So to do that, we'll click Edit with the Divi Builder, which will launch the front-end Divi Builder. Then you can either use existing content, in which case you'll use the content that you already placed on your page using the default editor, and then customize it using the drag and drop Divi Builder. Choose a pre-made layout, which is what we'll do now, or clone one of your existing pages. So we'll go with choose a pre-made layout. This will open the library of free Divi layouts. We want to use the Business Coach layout, so we'll search for it here. You can also filter by category. Then you'll see there will be a number of layouts for different pages. So there will be a Business Coach about page, a Business Coach blog page, a Business Coach contact page so you can build your whole site with a consistent design. So we'll look for the home page. Here it is. Click on it. And you can also view the live demo here, which will open up a demo of the site that you can scroll through. Also go to different pages. And then you can see the other layouts in this pack here. And replace existing content. So like you saw, I typed a bit of text earlier, and if we check this option, it'll remove that text and replace everything on the page with the layout, which is an optional one. So I'll click use this layout. Just give it some time to import. And here you'll see the entire design and all the demo content loaded onto your page. So just like with the default editor, if you want to save your changes but you don't want to make it live on your site just yet, you'll save it as a draft first. And if you want to push your changes live, you'll click publish here. You can also exit the Divi Builder by clicking this big X icon here, or click exit in the toolbar, which will take you basically to the preview of your page. And then you can go back to the Visual Builder here, or edit page to go to the back end of your page. And we're back here. And once you've published the page, you save your changes on the live page by clicking update. Or you can switch it back to a draft, in which case the page will no longer be live and you can edit it offline again. So we'll click update. And that should do it for our home page. So we'll go back to all pages and then create the other pages for our site. I'll run you through one more as an example. So add new. About. By the way, since we selected post name as our permalink structure, this about will also be used in the URL for this page. Then we'll click use Divi Builder. It just sometimes saves before opening the Divi Builder, so that's why it's taking a bit long. Choose pre-made layout. Search for business coach again. And this time we'll choose the about page. We're happy with how it looks, so we'll choose use this layout. Okay, there we go. And there we have our about page. Okay, so now that we're happy with this page, also save as draft. Then publish. Head back to edit page. You can also add a page with this handy shortcut in the toolbar. Okay, so I'm gonna go on and create the other pages for my site. And you can do the same using the pages that you created in your sitemap. Okay, so as you can see, I've created all 6 of my pages. And an important thing you need to know how to do is once you've created your pages, how to set the default homepage for your website. So that when users type in your URL and navigate to your page, they land on the homepage that you want them to land on. So to do that, you'll go to Settings and Reading. And the default WordPress setting is to use this your latest posts option, which basically makes your homepage like a blog page with your blog posts in chronological order on the page. So if you want to choose a homepage, you have to select a static page. And then under homepage, you choose whichever page you want. So in my case, home. And then save your changes. And you can test this by clicking on My Site. And this should now load the home page we created earlier, as you can see. Okay, the next thing, if you're going to have a blog on your website, or even a portfolio, since portfolios work in the same way, is to create your blog posts and blog categories. It's easier to start with the categories, so we'll go to Posts and then Categories in the menu. So if we go back to our sitemap, we'll see that we have 4 categories: Who am I, Branding, Corporate Identity, and News. So categories are kind of like folders under which you organize your blog posts. So the first one we have is News. A slug is if you have special characters or something in your category name. A slug is an alternative that you can use in the URL that's URL friendly. So yeah, it's usually all lowercase and contains only letters, numbers, and hyphens. Ours should be fine, so we don't need to enter a slug. You can organize categories underneath each other, but news will be a top level category, so we won't select the parent. And then you can also add a description for your category that'll just describe what's in that category. So add new category to create it. And then we'll go through and create our others. Corporate identity. I need to provide a slug or parent. Branding. Okay, now as you can see under branding, we have some subcategories. So how you would create them is go back. And then you'd select branding as your parent category and add new category. And the line here will show that it's a subcategory. So you can delete, view, or edit categories here. And uncategorized is a category created by default by WordPress, where posts that you haven't associated with a category will be stored under. So I'll show you that later on. And you can also create subcategories. So you could have more categories under corporate branding if you wanted. Finish this up. As you can see here, I could select corporate branding and it would create it under it. So okay, so now our categories are done. Now we have to create posts to put in these categories. So just like pages, you can either go immediately to add new or you can go to all posts. So we don't have any posts yet, so we'll say add new. Give your post a name. So just as an example, my first post. You can also edit posts with the Divi Builder. So if you wanted a special design for your post, you can also go import a layout for it. And you also have very similar options here to pages, but there are a few special ones just for posts. So under categories is where you would choose a category for your post. So let's just put it under personal. And tags, or just like cloud tags where you can associate words with them and users can filter posts or search for them based on these tags. So you can enter anything. General. Featured image is usually used as the image for the post in a blog list. So if you have a blog page where all your posts are listed, that would be the image that illustrates the post. And it can sometimes also be on the top of the post, depending on which layout you use. And then allow comments if you want users to be able to comment on your posts. And pingbacks and trackbacks. And you can also change the layout just like for pages. So you can choose a side for the sidebar or no sidebar. Dot navigation, etc. So yeah, that's creating posts. And just like pages as well, you can save it as a draft if you're still going to work on it. You can preview a post like this. And you can publish the post here. So I'll just add a feature image so you can see this in action later. Since we imported demo content, there will be some images here for us. So I'm just going to select one of these. Maybe the handshake. And you can add an alt text again. And if you also want to know more about how blog posts work, you can also check that out in our How to Use WordPress for Beginners tutorial. So if we save the page now, and then preview it, you'll see the image at the top, the featured image. And of course, you can add in some content below your post. We do this using the default editor. So just whatever, and then save draft. Preview it again. See the text underneath the featured image. Okay, so then we'll publish this. Okay, so as you will see, just like for pages, because we selected post name as our permalink structure, the title of our post will also be the URL for this specific post. Okay, so if you want to see what this post would look like in your blog page or wherever else you would have blog posts listed, we'll first have to go to Settings, Reading. You'll want to do this anyway if you want to create a blog so that you have a set blog page. Then under the Your Homepage Displays option, under Posts page, so this is where you'll choose which page will show your blog posts. So we'll select blog and then Save Changes. So now if we go to our pages and we view the blog page, then you'll see that our page we just created is the first entry in your blog page. If you create more posts, they will also show up here above or below this page, depending on the order. So yeah, that's how you create a blog in WordPress. Okay, so now that we have all the pages and posts that we want on our site, we want to change the navigational menu to be able to easily navigate to every page or post. So you'll see the navigational menu here at the top. And by default, WordPress imports all the pages on your site into the menu automatically. But we don't want all of these here, so let's go make our own. So we'll head back to the dashboard. And then you can manage menus under Appearance and Menus. As you can see, we don't have any menus yet, so we'll create our first one. Let's call this Main Navigation because it'll be our main navigation menu. Create. Okay, so here on the left-hand side, you have all the items that you can add to your menu. As you can see, there are pages, posts, custom links, and categories. You also, on the right-hand side, you can choose where you want your menu to be located. If you choose primary, it'll be the top navigation bar as I just showed you. Secondary menu can be placed at different places depending on what your theme is. And the footer menu is the menu at the bottom of your page in the footer. And you can see here is the option to automatically add pages, which WordPress does now, but we don't want that. We want to be in control of what goes in our menu. In the screen options, you'll see some settings here. These checkboxes, if you tick them, the options will show up here. So if we want to be able to add tags, we can click it here and we can add tags. But we don't want tags. I think, yes, we're fine with categories, custom links, posts, and pages. Two things we will tick are link target and CSS classes. Link target will allow us to specify whether to open links in our main menu in a new tab. And CSS classes will be used to turn our menu into a mega menu later on. Okay. So to start creating our menu, you'll select what you want to add from here. So we'll choose Services, Blog, Contact, About, and Home. And then click Add to Menu. And then you'll see them over here. Let's activate primary menu. And if we save menu, we can go to the preview. And so yeah, you'll see the pages we added to our menu here. So you can rearrange them just by dragging and dropping them. I wanted Home, About, Services, Blog, Contact. Yep. And then you can also add sub-menu items. So in this case, we'll use our categories under our blog menu items. So we'll go to Category, Add to Menu. And then to make it a sub-item, you drag it like this. So save our menu. Refresh. So it's rearranged, and if we go under blog, you'll see our category underneath the blog menu item. So the next step is, let's quickly show you how to add custom links. So we can add a custom link, let's say to our Facebook page. Just as an example, you'll probably use it to link to other external sites. Add to menu. And if we go into it, yeah, you can tick here, open link in a new tab so that it doesn't navigate away from your current page. This is usually a good idea if you're linking to an external site so that users still have your website open. So we'll tick that. Save menu. Go back and refresh. So we'll see our Facebook link here, and if we click it, it'll open Facebook in a new tab. So another way you can use links is to navigate to a particular section on your web page. In that case, you'd make the URL hashtag and the ID of this section. So this will make sense in a moment, but just follow along for now. Let's make it contact. And we change this to let's change this rather to contact now so that we don't confuse it with the contact page we already have here in our menu. Okay, so you'll see this in action later on when we use the Divi Builder, but we'll rename one of the sections on our page. We'll rename the ID to contact now, and then we'll be able to link to it from this menu item. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is change this to a mega menu. So to do that, we'll go to blog, which has subcategories. And in the CSS classes box, you'll type mega menu. Then save. Go to our preview, refresh. Now, if we hover over blog, you'll see it open this mega menu. It will look better with more items inside of it, but yeah, that's how you create the mega menu in Divi. Okay, so that's how it go about creating the main navigation menu for your site. To just give you a quick example, we want a footer navigation menu with a contact and privacy page links. So to create a footer menu, we'll just say create a new menu. Let's say footer nav, create. And then here we'll select footer menu. And we want to add links to our contact and privacy pages. So privacy, add to menu. Save. Refresh. If you go all the way down, you'll see we have them here in our footer menu. Okay, so depending on what pages you want in your site and your categories, you can go on and create your menus just like this. You can also take a look at our How to Use WordPress for Beginners tutorial to learn more about how to use menus for your website. Okay, so now it's time to make changes to the Divi theme to change the look and feel of our website. One of the main areas where you do this is the Divi theme options, where we changed our logo and our brand color earlier. You can navigate to the Divi theme options by hovering over Divi in the left-hand menu and selecting theme options. The Divi theme options is where you control a lot of aspects of your site, such as the navigation, default page or post layouts, managing social media links on your site, or even integrations and third-party APIs. So we'll just go over the most important ones. There are too many options here to cover for this tutorial, so we recommend that you head over to the Divi documentation, where they go into every aspect of the Divi theme options in great detail, and you'll be able to learn to use anything that you see here. So first of all, we already changed our logo. The fixed navigation bar is the sticky menu at the top of your pages, and disabling it will disable the sticky menu. Enabling it will make sure your menu is always visible. The next important ones are your Google API key. So this is what you'd use to activate Google Maps on your website. We already have our Google API key, but you'll need to go over to Google and log into your account to set up your own API key. Then you'd paste it in here. And whenever you make changes, you'll have to save them. And if we now go to our website, and okay, let's go to the contact page. you should see that Maps is now working. Okay, so underneath that is where you can enable or disable certain social media icons on your site. You'll see that the options by OHKLYN themes are quite limited, and that's why we recommend using Font Awesome, because they support way more social media icons. And on the OHKLYN blog here, you can follow the link to view a tutorial on how to do this. Okay, so to use Divi's social media icons, you'd enable the ones you want to use here, and then you'd paste in the link to your social media pages. So we'll paste in our Facebook link here, and the Facebook link should now work on our site. Okay. Here are some more options that you can look through in the Divi documentation. And also, if there's anything you're wondering about, you can click on this little tooltip here, and it'll give you a short explanation. So you can use this and the Divi documentation to learn how to use all of these settings. At the bottom, you can use this field here to add custom CSS to your website, to add your own styling or options that aren't available in Divi itself. Okay, so the next tab is navigation. And here you can toggle the visibility for pages or categories within your menus. You can enable or disable drop-down menus. The display home link in your navigation menu. Pretty much the same settings for categories. And then general settings also just has to do with how your menu functions. In the Builder tab, as you can see here, you can enable or disable the builder for post pages or projects. We want to use the builder, so we'll keep it enabled. Some advanced options. Under layout, so single post layout, these are your actual blog posts. So the settings you change here will affect how your blog posts work. So as you can see, you usually have a bit of info whenever you write the blog post that displays in the listing or on the post itself. And these are usually the author, the date, the category that the blog post is in, and comments. So you can enable or disable these here. And you can also enable comments on your posts. Usually you want visitors to comment on your post, so we'll keep this enabled. And here's for single page layout. So these would be your home page, about page, contact page, and so on. Usually you don't let visitors comment on your pages, so we'll leave this disabled. And then the same general settings, post info section. So this would apply to your blog category pages where your blog posts are listed and not the blog posts themselves. Ads, as the name suggests, this is where you make changes to how ads display on your website and which type of ads you allow. So Divi has some settings for SEO, but we recommend using an SEO specific plugin. We like using Yoast SEO, and it's one of the best free SEO plugins you can find. In the integrations panel is where you can add custom code to your website, such as your Facebook pixel, Google Analytics, or any other type of code. And you can divide it in these boxes in your head section, your body section, or at certain points within posts or pages. The last tab we have is updates, and this is where you can add your OHKLYN themes username and API key to authenticate your Divi installation and enable yourself to get the latest updates from OHKLYN themes. Once again, if you want to learn more about these settings, then check out the Divi documentation for theme options. We've provided a link to it in the article accompanying this video. Okay, so I just very quickly want to run you through how to use widgets on your site. And you can use widgets to add some functionality or some small extra features. So to access widgets, go to Appearance and Widgets. Again, if you want more information on this or how to use it, we recommend reviewing the documentation. So here on the left, you have all the available widgets that you can add to your site. There might be some specific to Divi, but there are a few default WordPress widgets. Here are your widget enabled areas, which are areas on your site where you can add widgets. So the sidebar is something you should know about already. And if we go to a preview of our site, our homepage doesn't have a sidebar, but our blog does. So we'll go over there. So here's the sidebar with its widget enabled areas and its widget. Another area that can have widgets is the footer. But since there are no widgets there yet, you'll see there's no widget area. So to add widgets, let's add a calendar. So you just select the widget on the left, select which area, and click Add Widget. And you can give it a name. Something like that. Save it. The footer area will also add one. Say categories. Check out the blog, sounds good. Display as drop down, let's say show post counts. Sure, okay, save. So if you now go back and refresh, you'll see the calendar widget we added over here. And if you go down to the footer, you'll see the widget we added here. Oh yeah, if you want to remove a widget, just click the delete link over here and it'll remove it. So yeah, if you want to learn more about widgets, check out the documentation. And then we're off to the next part of customizing your site, which is the theme customizer. Okay, so to access the theme customizer, you either go to Appearance and Customize, or Divi and then Theme Customizer. The theme customizer makes global changes to styling settings for your site. So you can override these settings by making them on the pages or posts, and that will override these settings for that page or post specifically. To show you what we mean, if we were to inspect this header title here, we'll see that the font family is Playfair. And if we try to change it in the customizer, under header font, let's say to Railway, you'll see that doesn't change anything. But let's publish the changes anyways. If we go edit our home page in the back end, so here, pages, home, edit with Divi Builder, going to the settings for the header area, and here's our title. As you can see, design, title text. So this is the reason it doesn't change in the customizer, because it's set here on the page itself to Playfair. If we change it to Railway here, it actually changes. But if you want the global styling settings to apply here, you can just set it to default. And it'll still be Railway because that's just what we styled it to in the customizer. Save here. And then we'll save the page. So if we go back and we reload the customizer, just refresh the page. Because this is a preview of our home page, you'll now see the new font that we've set here inside the customizer. So this might seem a little complicated, but it's actually a very good feature because you can quickly make changes to your entire site styling here. But then if you for some reason want it to look a little different on a specific page, you can go to that page and change it without affecting your other pages. So as you can see, the customizer has a lot of options, and just like the theme options, we don't have time for everything in this tutorial. So we recommend you check them out in the Divi documentation, where you'll find more than enough information on any of these settings. We'll also have a link to the Divi documentation in the article for this video. So one of the cool features is that you can change your view to fit the mobile, like a tablet or a phone display here. As you can see, this is what your site would look like on tablet and on mobile. We'll work in the desktop view. And we'll just cover the most important settings quickly. So if we go to General, Site Identity. So this is where you change the title for your site or your tagline. And if you remember, this is where we changed our favicon. Under layout settings, there are some general layout settings like putting your design in a box layout with these borders at the side like this. Default content width and so on. If you make changes to any of these, you can reset them by clicking this button here. So if we do that, you can just reset it like this. Theme accent color, this is just changing colors in random places throughout your site to get it in line with your brand color. So we'll actually go in here and you can either change the color here directly, or because we added our brand color palette earlier, we can just select it from these default colors here. So we'll select it. Then typography. So we just covered this a bit and it's just changing the fonts throughout your pages. We'll change the body link color to our brand color as well. And you can see you can also change the header text colors and so on. But we'll just leave these on the default setting. Background, the background image or color. We don't really have backgrounds here, so it doesn't really matter. Under header and navigation is where you'll make changes to the stop navigation menu. So this is quite an important section. Header format, you can choose different styles. So we've got this default style, or you can change it to something with a logo at the top and then your menu underneath. The logo in between your menu items. Slide in. So if we click here, it'll slide in. Or full screen. So if we click here, your menu is full screen. You can also hide navigation until scroll. So in this case, your menu won't show when people just land on your page, and only when they scroll down will the sticky menu come up. Let's change this back to default. Yeah, and as you can see, these options change based on which header you've got selected. Vertical navigation is this vertical menu on the left. Okay, primary menu bar. This also makes changes to this main navigation area over here. So you can adjust the height. Oop, that's a bit too big. Just reset it. It just freaked out a bit, so what can we do here? Publish. It's back to normal. Yeah, if you go too crazy with the settings, it can make the customizer freak out a bit. You can make it full width, so now it sees to every side. I actually like this, so I think I'll keep this. You can hide your logo for some reason. You can change the font. You can change the active link color. The active link color applies to the link of the page you're on. So as we're on the home page, you can see that the home page changed to our brand color. Drop down menu, line color, it's just this little line over here. So we'll change that to our brand color as well. Secondary menu, if you're using one, could change this to our brand color as well, just for the sake of it. So you can see now how nice it is to actually go set your colors over here. And then you don't have to look for them or type them in anytime. You can just pick them from the picker. Fixed navigation settings. So this is for the sticky bar when you scroll down. And you can also hide or show the logo. Again, the secondary menu if you're using it. And the primary link color. You can also set to our brand color. And then header elements. So we've got the search icon here, so we can disable or enable it. And we can also enable or disable social icons if we have any set up. So then to the footer. So customizing your footer can be a bit tricky, because there are a lot of factors involved, like your widget enabled areas and the customizer settings, etc. So it's a good idea to take advantage of the free footer layouts that Divi has to offer. You can find a link to them in the documentation here, and there is also a video that shows you how to use them. And these will import pre-designed footers for you, which is a great tool to quickly set up a great looking footer. Okay, so there are a lot of other options here, like the same way as with style.typography, you can go style your buttons, settings specific to your posts, you can see here. Style specifically to mobile devices, color schemes, you can also change your menus here, widgets, and you can even add some custom CSS over here. So yeah, that's the most important aspects of the customizer. Again, if you want more information on any of these settings, check out the Divi documentation through the link we provide on the accompanying article. And whenever you make changes, you can either save them as a draft, in which case they won't be live on your site. You can schedule them. You can discard the changes if whatever you did doesn't look too good and you want to start from scratch. Or you have to publish them to save the changes and make them live on your website. So we're happy with what we did, so we'll click publish. And then you just click this X over here to close the customizer and go back to your WordPress dashboard. Now let's get some hands-on experience with Divi's best feature, the Divi Builder. It's elegant theme's custom-made drag and drop page builder, and undoubtedly one of the best around. Okay, so to use the Divi Builder, we'll go to Pages and All Pages. And then create a new page. I'll just call it test for now, but call it whatever you want. And then to open the front-end builder, we'll use Divi Builder. Just let it save. So this time we'll be building a page from scratch. So we'll choose this option. And we'll just ignore this for now. So as you can see, we have a blank slate to work with. And what we want to do for this page is I want to loosely replicate the home page we imported from the Divi layout. So we'll basically recreate this page over here with some minor differences. Okay, so first up is the big header area. So if we go back to the builder, we'll first create a new section. We want it to be full width because we want it to cover the screen from left to right. And I'll just delete this placeholder section that we created for us. Okay, so full width sections are purple like this. The normal sections, like the one you just saw, are blue. And here you have some options. You can drag it around. This will open up some settings for the section. You can duplicate the section. You can save it to a library so that you can load it in and use it on another page, or you can delete it over here. So the first thing we want to do is add in our big background image. And for that, we'll open up the settings for the section, to background. And here you can select a color or a gradient, an image or a video. So we want an image. And again, you can choose anyone, but I'll just take this one over here. There we go. And don't worry about the fact that it's a bit cut off at the moment. We'll fix that in a bit. So here you can enable a parallax effect, which is quite cool. True parallax. Yep, we don't want to do anything else here for now. So then to add other elements within a section, you click this gray icon over here. Okay, so the first thing we want to add here is this full width header module. And the first thing we'll have is our title. So we'll change this to something like business coach. Give it a subhead text of something like that. Button 1 text can be book and appointment. Button 2 text can be something like about. And then we don't want this text under here, so we'll just select all of this and delete it. And then in the background section, so we've got this solid background over here and it's obscuring our image behind it. So what we can do is we can set this opacity to 0 and then you'll see our image in the background. And then we can go over to the gradient. And as you can see, a gradient is like a two-tone color that you can blend. So we'll keep this darker blue and we'll change this to our brand color. And we'll drop the opacity down to maybe 50. It's really up to you to play around with the settings to see what looks good for you, but I think that should do it for us. And then you can choose whether it's a linear gradient or a radial gradient that starts in the middle. The direction of the gradient, so I want my dark blue pointing in the top right corner, so maybe something like that. Okay, then in the design tab is where you will style all of the stuff that you add in your content tab. So here, layout, you can see you can change the orientation. I'm happy with orientating it to the left. You can make it full screen. Oh, and while we're at it, all of these settings have this little tooltip. So if you want to learn more about something, you can just click on the tooltip and it'll give you a short explanation. So we can enable a scroll down icon like this, which you click and then it goes to the next section. That's quite cool, so I'll keep it. And adjust the size here. We don't have an image, so we'll leave these settings. Don't have to play around with overlay. We deleted all our normal text, so this field won't style anything for now. And then the title text will apply to our main title here. So as you can see, a handy feature of the settings box is that you can change the H level, the heading level, and then you style that individual heading level. So we want to style our H1. Since we changed the font in the customizer, I'm happy keeping it at default. But I'll just maybe make it semi-bold. Text alignment is fine, text color is fine. I'll make it a bit larger, maybe like 65. And I'll give it a bit more breathing room. So this line height gives it a bit more space at the top and bottom. Yeah, that looks good. And you could add a shadow if you want, like that, but I don't want that. And then a body text, we also have no body text, so it's fine. Then the subheading. So the subheading font is also set to default, which is okay. Maybe I'll just set this to, no, I like it better regular. And I'll also increase the size quite a bit, maybe 30, no, a bit smaller, 25. And I also want to give it a bit more breathing room, so 1 point. Yeah, 1.5 seems good as well. Okay, so I'm not sure why button 2 is first, but it doesn't really matter. We'll just go into button 2 first, so we'll be styling this one. And you can enable custom styles to be able to change its settings. So at the moment it might be a bit big considering our subtitle, so I'll just make this a little smaller. It's too small, maybe 18. And oh, we can change the background color, so I'll actually do this and I'll give it a white color, but I'll set the opacity way down so it has this faded look like this About Me button here. Maybe like that. And then you can adjust the width of the border, so you can make it thicker or less thick. We'll take it out completely. You can also give it a color. And since we, oh yeah, the border radius, that gives you these nice rounded edges. So we want to round them all the way through, so that's about, seems 30, and then we have these nice rounded edges. Font, so happy with the default font weight. Actually set this to bold. And this icon refers to this little arrow over here. So I don't really want that for my About button. Okay, and then we're off to button 1. Actually, just want to see. Yep, that looks good. Okay, so then button 1 will also enable custom styles. So drop my text size just a bit. Give it a background color of white. So now we won't see our text, so I'll just go up, change the text color to our brand color. And I'll also remove the border. And I'll also give it these nice rounded edges. We're happy with the font. And for this one, I might actually keep the arrow, just for the heck of it. And you can change its color as well. Okay. Don't really want to play with that. Okay. Then under sizing, you could adjust the content width. So if I want it to go across 2 lines, I could just make it a bit, reduce the width a bit. So I'm happy with it like that. Spacing. So if we want to give this background a bit more room, we can adjust the top and bottom padding, which will increase the space between the border of the section and the content of the section. So to do that, I'll give this 10 VW, and the bottom also 10 VW. Okay, and now we've got a much bigger header section, which looks much nicer. We don't want to give this a border, so we'll skip this. We don't want to give it a shadow. And we could actually give it an animation like this. Because we have the image behind it and it's not in the content section itself, it'll animate on its own. So yeah, you could add an animation and set it to repeat, set the duration at which it repeats, and so on. Okay, so that's our header section. Okay, the next section we want to create is the services section with a title and some services blurbs. So we need to create a new section, which you can do by just clicking this plus icon at the bottom. Some we just want a regular section. And you can think of pages as being divided into sections, rows, and columns. So sections are these big content pieces you see like this one. And then rows divide them horizontally. And then rows are divided vertically into columns like this, 4 or 5 or 6. So our first one is just a single column row because we just want our text element. This one here. And this time we'll just add it in the content editor here. So something like that, and we'll make this H2, and we'll select everything and center align it. You can change this text to whatever you want, but I'm just going to keep the placeholder text for now. And then in design, go into heading, and this time we'll change the H2 setting since we made this an H2 header. So H2, and I'll just set it to, I think I'll do semi-bold. And then to make that this isn't so far spread out, I'll go into sizing and make this a bit smaller. And then you'll see it goes to the left, so we'll just align it to center again. And yeah, that's all I want to do here. So then to add another row, you click this green plus icon over here. Oh, and while we're at it, you can also change your row structure at any time by clicking this icon on this settings toolbar. So we'll add a new row. And we have 4 blurbs in a row, so we'll add a 4-column row. And we'll add a blurb. So our text would be something like visioning. And we won't have all this content. We don't want the image, instead we want an icon. And for this icon we want the light bulb. And we'll go to design, image and icon. Okay, we'll keep our brand color for our icon. You can put a circle around it and then change the circle color, but you don't want that. Use icon font size will allow you to readjust its size, so we want to make it a bit smaller, maybe 30. And text settings, title text, we want to align this in the middle. And we also want to No, we'll keep the color as it is. And yeah, that's it for our first blurb. Oh, we might just set the sizing. 550, 100%, that's fine. Spacing 40, 40, 20, 20. 40 pixels. 40, 20, 20. Okay, there we go. And this is where the duplicate function comes in handy, because usually we'd have to create another 7 blurbs, but now we can just duplicate this one with already styled. And then I'll drag it into the box next to this one. And then we can go in, edit, and this one is planning with the little map icon. I guess we don't have to use the same one, so this kind of looks like oh, here it is, the map. And we have the same settings and everything. The only thing we'll change is we'll give this one a background color to create that background effect. So in this case, we'll use this blue, but we'll take down the sharpness, and we'll take the opacity way down as well. Something like that. So yeah, you do this, and then you can duplicate this one again and drag it over, and duplicate and drag it over. And when you've got this, then you can duplicate the entire row. But we want them in the same row, so we'll keep them like this. We'll duplicate to create 4 more, so we have our 8. And then to get them stacked against each other, we just have to go into the row settings this time. Design, sizing, custom gutter width. This controls the space between them, and then set this all the way to 1. So now if let's say we edit this one, and we go to the background color, we can just set the opacity up again to keep that pattern going. Okay, so that's it for the services blurbs. Oh, we actually have a learn more button still to do, so we'll go back here, and then we have to add a new row. This will be a button, and I'll make this a contact button. Design, alignment, center, button, use custom styling. Oh, let's first change the text. We'll make this a white button, and then we'll make the background color. We'll make the background color our brand color. Oh, change this to color. Move the gradient. Don't want the border, but we want the border radius to make it nice and round. Okay, so that should do it. Then the next one we'll do is we'll skip this one because I just want to show you something, and we'll do this about section, which we need a regular section, 2-column row, and on the left we have our text, and this time we'll give it 2 headings. So me, and we'll make this one H4, and we'll make this one H2. And in design, I want to give all of my text a bit of breathing room, so I'll do this. and for the heading text as well. So first one's an H2. And our second heading is a H4, so it's over here. And also want to change its color to a brand color. And then give it some line height. Okay, then on the right hand side, we'll add an image. So we'll go down. Actually, just for the heck of it, let's do a video. And as you can see, if we go into the settings here, you can either select a video from your media library, upload a video, or you can go insert from URL, and you can insert a video straight from YouTube or something similar. So if we go to YouTube, and
In this how to use WordPress
we can copy the
tutorial,
URL from this video and paste it in here. Insert to post. And you'll see we have a video over here. So what we want to do is, I want this button over here to link to our About section. So how I can do that is, I can go into the section settings, to advanced, CSS ID and classes, and here under CSS ID, I'll call it just about, maybe about me. And then I'll go to this button over here. So my module settings, links, button to link URL, and I'll call this hashtag about me. And now if I click this button, once we publish our page, it will go to this section. So yeah, and that's pretty much all I want to show you from using the Divi Builder. And you can go on using it the same way. You should really just experiment. It's a lot of fun once you get used to it. And you can use it to build out any of your pages, not just your own page. Remember to use what I showed you before. And if you build a site and you want to make it your own page, go set it in the reading settings. So if you're happy with your page, click here, save draft. And hit publish. And you would have built your first page using the Divi Builder. And if we exit the Divi Builder, you can see it load with animation. And if we click About, it goes to the About section. Just like with everything else related to Divi, I suggest you take advantage of the documentation to get a complete run through of all these settings, concepts, and modules we've explained here. You can find a link in the article for this video to a complete tutorial of the Divi Builder. When you have your website looking the way you want and you're ready to launch, there's a few best practices that you should follow to ensure you get the best results. If you want your website to be searchable via search engines like Google, the first thing is to ensure that your WordPress settings aren't blocking search engines from indexing your website. To check this, hover over Settings in the admin panel and then click on Reading. Okay, we'll scroll down to the Search Engine Visibility section and ensure that the box is unchecked so that Google can crawl and index your website. You should keep this box checked while you're still working on your site, like we have, but uncheck it once you're ready to go live. Once you've done that, we also recommend watching our step-by-step video on how to add your website to Google search. This will help make your website discoverable via search engines like Google. We would also recommend installing Google Analytics on your website. Fortunately, we've created a free step-by-step video on how to do this as well. Using the Divi theme, you can add the required tracking code within the Divi theme options tab. Under integrations, we cover how to do this in the video. That's it for our how to make a WordPress website tutorial for 2019 and 2020. If you liked this video, hit the like button and remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more videos related to WordPress, digital marketing, and how to run a successful website. Your feedback is appreciated, so please leave a comment below and tell us what you liked, or if there was anything you found difficult, so that we can put together additional videos to help support you as you build out your site. To get access to exclusive discounts, free tutorials, and to stay in the loop on the latest updates, sign up to our newsletter at OHKLYN, OHKLYN.com. And until next time, happy building!